Stream guys. Could I ask one of you to head over to my Jesper Nissen SEO channel just to check if the live stream is working or not?
Let's have a look. Yep, I think that's there.
It's working?
I won't open it just in case it
Yeah.
causes a sound clash. But
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. So welcome to the webinar. The clock is now 5 o'clock Danish time and 4 o'clock UK time. And with me today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Stuart, aka Mr. SEO Jesus. And I don't think I will be calling you Mr. Jesus. I just think I'll be calling you Stuart. But today we're going to talk about uh, going to talk about how to rank on Google, but we are specifically going to talk about a method that Stuart he has come up with, and amongst other things, and that's the one-page website method. And I met Stuart at the Link Building Mastery seminar last month in London. And Stuart, for those of you that don't know who he has the channel called SEO Jesus, and he is a very charismatic speaker, and he is very knowledgeable about link building and automations, and specifically putting things into systems. I just watched his course, the ranking one-page websites, and you're going to have the opportunity to talk about your course in this area, Stuart. But I just finished watching his course about these ranking the one-page websites. I just enjoyed it so much. It's just speaking to my mind the way that you're finding domain names, you're having the Excel sheets, and you're just in control of all the details. So it's just a super pleasure to watch your SEO course there.
thank you very
Well,
much.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm just excited to have you on, Stuart. So welcome aboard.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
And I'll just because I can see some of the guys have not muted their microphone. Hold on. So yeah, so welcome aboard. So it's a pleasure to have you here. So I just want to start out by asking you. You're a very young man compared to me, anyway. When did you when did you start doing SEO? When did you come into this SEO world?
It's very difficult to nail it down specifically, but when I was at university, I always liked the sound of being a writer, and I was looking for part-time work because I was loving London life. I went to UCL, and I was studying history of art, where I had to be in for 2 hours a week. The rest of the time, I was having a great time in London, but of course, that comes at a cost. So I thought I can easily, monetize some of this time here and have therefore a better lifestyle in London. And I ended up getting a job for a menswear brand where they just wanted a menswear blogger. And they explained to me that if you use certain words throughout the text, I think the first one was about overcoats, then that will enable us to rank for those terms and then for siphon off some of that traffic into our products. So I gone from everyone telling me, you can never be a writer, you can't make money as a writer, to suddenly there's this whole world of digital marketing that is entirely dependent, or at least it was, on being a writer. So that was really exciting. Then got involved with a magazine startup. That was much more social media driven. So it was less about the SEO. We were doing the classic thing of seeing the Yoast box at the bottom of WordPress and just slamming in anything there, thinking, yeah, that might get some Google traffic. With that experience, they then pivoted into affiliate marketing. So we're talking about news content, and it's much more about basically creating hype in your headlines and your pitch. But that was difficult to monetize, so they pivoted into affiliate, and they decided we're going to do top 10 leather jackets, same as every other media brand, basically. All the top 10 lists shop the look of uh, major brands. And I thought I'm struggling to see how you're going to actually penetrate that market. But I've got all my niche interests and communities in London, from heavy metal, goth, uh, all sorts of different sort of dressing up societies. And I thought that would actually be really good for that niche. So I created a costume website. And the idea was if you identify with dressing up, whether it's cosplay or anything else, then this is the website for you. But again, all I knew was about creating news and posting it on Facebook and basically putting it into Facebook groups and getting a conversation going. Didn't understand about how SEO actually worked. Again, it was just this green traffic light at the bottom of WordPress. But it was about a year down the line that I noticed that one of my pages was getting serious traffic, and I was actually getting commissions in finally. And it was all around the niche of Fortnite costumes, and that's because I'd written a news article that this big Halloween costume manufacturer had produced Fortnite costumes, and I basically just summarized the press release. But 6 months later, my article was number one for Fortnite cosplay and Fortnite costumes. So when this niche totally blew up, I was getting huge amounts of traffic of people then going and buying these Fortnite costumes, and that's when it all made sense. You don't write about what you think is interesting, and as SEO professionals, we know how clients think in terms of you write it and then just apply your magic SEO fairy dust to make it rank on Google. No, you've got to do it the other way around. Work out what people actually want, write the content to actually fit and rank for that traffic that already exists. And ideally, that should be aligned with the product you're actually selling so you can make money from that traffic. So that's when everything changed. So by that point, I'd given up and had a day job working in insurance marketing. But every day on the tube, I was listening to the Authority Hacker podcast, and I understood then how to build a true authority website. And ironically, I did one all around traditional shaving because I love the idea of proper traditional razors and shaving brushes where it's zero waste, it's higher quality. All you're using is a tiny blade rather than all the plastic of Gillette. So I had 100 pages on best shaving brush, best shaving soap, best safety razor, and that actually did really well. So that did some decent money, and then I sold that in order to then start my agency. So that's when it all made sense. And at the time, I was working for this insurance brand, so I kept on trying to sell them on SEO, but they didn't understand how blogging equated with actually selling insurance policies. But when I showed them my dashboards from my shaving website, saying I am using this to sell $20 shaving brushes, I can make it so that you can sell $400 insurance policies. And that's exactly what happened. And then they did 50 grand a month.
I forgot to unmute myself. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's awesome. So, the story that you just told us, where are you in? Was it how many years ago? Was it last year?
I was going to say, I didn't actually answer your question there, didn't I? So I think it was 8 years ago. I registered my first domain name in 2017.
Okay, okay,
But I wouldn't say I had much of a clue until, yeah, probably around 2018, 19.
okay. So that's extremely interesting. So, so did you manage to actually? So 2017, 18, 19, of course, affiliate issue was much easier or much less challenging back
Yeah.
then than it is today. But did you actually manage to make a living of these affiliate websites, or but did you have, jobs besides your
It's
affiliate
a bit of
site?
both. So I think what the real advantage I had was even just making a reasonable income on the affiliate sites then meant that was leverage to then go back to my day job. We were a tiny team, and I was basically their first hire. I was in charge of marketing, and I said, "Look at how much traffic I'm getting and how much money I'm making just on shaving brushes. Let's now do it with insurance products." And that's when it finally clicked. So by then, I was completely invaluable to them because I basically rebuilt their website, masterminded the strategy. It was only really a few blog posts, but they immediately went up to number one for extremely niche insurance products that we could cover. And then the phone started ringing, which they hadn't before. So they'd been spending 10 grand a month on paid ads, not really making a dent because it's so competitive. But through those tiny little niches, we were able to break through, and then they got up to 50 grand a month.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money. 50, and
But
you're talking about 50,000 UK pounds.
yeah,
Or, and for those,
that's revenue, not profit. But
yeah, 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 yeah. But still,
yeah,
but
so
still,
to get to your point, the actual affiliate website wasn't making huge money, but it was definitely enough to prove to myself I knew what I was doing, prove to them that I knew what I was doing. And once I'd done that for them, I then got headhunted to another bigger insurance company who they actually had two SEO agencies working for them. And I always thought, I can't have an agency, I'm not good enough for that. When I saw what two big London corporate SEO agencies were doing for this big major brand, I realized, no, actually, I can definitely start an SEO agency and it'll be much better than any of these.
yeah, I'm no doubt. That's so fascinating. So, so if we fast forward a little bit, because I know that you also, was it last year or the year before, you also made an SEO course in Parasite SEO. I didn't take that course, But so you have the Parasite SEO methodology, and then you have this affiliate methodology with the one-page websites. So could you talk about let's talk a little bit about Parasite SEO and your Parasite SEO ideas. Are you still using these Parasite sites, or is that a thing of the past now, or how
I
do you
use
see
it
it?
where it makes sense. So I think the number one point to bring that back to is SEO is still about content and links. And for a lot of agencies, a lot of service providers, it's still just link insertions, which still work well. Generally, you can get them for cheaper and it's easier to just insert a link on an existing post. But generally, if you're writing a guest post, bear in mind we've got the AI now. The whole economics of guest posting has changed. It used to be you're providing content and you want a link in return. Then the webmasters realized how valuable the links were. So therefore, they were charging for it. Well, if you're charging for it, can we skip past this whole dance where we have to write you content? So now, generally, most of the link building that we do, we actually try to get the guest post to rank because you can't get a better link than from a ranking page. That's been proven time and again. So while I don't do much true Parasite per se anymore, as in going to Outlook India, publishing a casino post or whatever, there's still a lot of value in leveraging the authoritative websites that you're guest posting on, uh, and making sure that those pages can actually rank. What we're finding, even in AI search, it's actually my guest posts that are generally ranking better than the client site a lot of the time. And sometimes that happens with Google as well. So I always say to people, yeah, Parasite SEO went through this big spike and then it died off. The fundamental methodology and principle has been around for a long time. It might not be working as well as it did 2 or 3 years ago, um, but it's just understanding how Google works. If Google is ranking a certain type of property on page one, then obviously you want to work out how you can get on those properties. We don't have to take the sort of spammy approach of let's just do a million LinkedIn articles and try and get those ranking. So yeah, look at what's already ranking there. What we're seeing with the AI searches is that seems to be getting more and more potent. It's what are the sort of trusted citations that are coming up for those AI searches? How can you get on those? So fundamentally, Parasite SEO hasn't really changed that much. Plus, we've got lots more social media discussions and forums. There are plenty of times now posting on Reddit probably makes more sense than doing a lot of other activities. So it's not as simple as it was, where it was just spam articles across Outlook India, Ireland Now, all of those, and just rank for best CBD. But you can still be smart about it. What's ranking there, and how can you actually manipulate those?
Yeah, so to be clear, for those of you, the guys that don't know, so when Stuart is talking about Parasite SEO, you're talking about, Stuart, mainly websites like Outlook India that has a huge amount of authority already. And so that's one side of the Parasite SEO game. And the other side of the Parasite SEO game is all the free websites like LinkedIn Pulse, Reddit, Medium, Quora, of course, YouTube, and so on and so forth. So, but you're talking about how to monetize articles that you post to Outlook India, and then you rank them because of the authority the website has. So, how about creating articles that are on Reddit and LinkedIn posts? Do you have a lot of experience with that, creating articles to utilize that?
So yeah, a couple of things there. So there was a heyday of Reddit just over a year ago, and about 18 months ago, when it was great. You could literally buy an aged account, use some proxies, find the top ranking Reddit post, comment in that post, and if you came back 24 hours later and inserted your affiliate link, generally it wouldn't get flagged, wouldn't get removed, wouldn't get you banned. And then you can simply go onto a social media panel, buy a load of upvotes, push your comment to the top, and it worked great. I was at one point I was doing around 2 or 3 thousand a month at that point, just promoting AI girlfriends on Reddit, where people were asking what's the best AI? And of course, there's other marketers who are creating these posts saying what's the best AI girlfriend, so they can go in and slip their affiliate links in. And I've since met most of them. I think it's quite a small world, and we're all just competing with each other on this one thread that happened to be ranking top of Google. But the volumes were insane. And even when all my accounts got banned, it got much harder. It was around March last year. And game changed a lot, but I still go into that affiliate account. I'm still consistently making $500 to $600 a month because there are just enough comments out there with my affiliate link on that still seem to be circulating, driving clicks and traffic. So that still works. And I just spoke to some guys the other day. Like I say, it's a very small world with Reddit. I use the software Key Mentions a lot. That's very good for basically finding the threads, generates a comment, you click a button, and rather than you having to buy aged accounts, they've basically got their own network that will handle it for you. But it was actually the creators of that software. It's again a bit like SEO. It's this very sort of small, secret, hidden network, and some of them have figured out now how they can get comments to stick, even with links in. So they're just hoovering up now, whether it's supplements or casino brands that have shown me examples. They know how to build the accounts in such a way that they can do a post, do a listicle, they can comment below it, they can insert links, and they said they've got a 90% retention rate on those comments. So I don't know how they do it, but I'm working out basically a deal with them at the moment to work out, yeah, how we can all benefit from this.
That is extremely interesting because what I'm seeing right now is that so if you have the top four, top five sites, you have LinkedIn Pulse, you have Medium, you have Reddit, you have YouTube, and Quora. So LinkedIn and Medium articles, LinkedIn Pulse and Medium articles are getting more difficult to index now. Even I have on my own personal account, my LinkedIn account, I have it's verified with my passport, and it's and I have many thousands of followers. But even my articles, I'm having trouble getting them indexed. But Reddit articles, they index super duper fast, and they also get cited in the AI overview.
I was going to say Reddit's a major source of
So
ChatGPT.
that is a major source. So you publish an AI, you publish an article on Reddit. I just published an article last month about who's the prince of SEO. So I am, and so it got indexed within I don't know 12, 24 hours, something like super fast. And then I was the prince of SEO, and it was quoting this AI article, just AI. I just wrote no.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, tell me, write me an article about that. I'm the prince of SEO. And so that got quoted. So what I'm seeing is interesting about Reddit articles is that after about 3 to 4 weeks, they're not getting de-indexed, but they're getting removed again as citations in the AI overview.
Right.
So Reddit articles, they don't stick around longer than 3 to 4 weeks in the AI overview. So that's a little bit disappointing that I discovered that.
Yeah, I'm
But
always saying everything with Reddit is very much, at least my approach is spray and pray. And people say, I bought one aged account, I posted one comment and it never showed up or it got deleted, it got shadow banned. And I'm saying if you're taking that methodology, you're not going to make a dent. So you need to be, doing it en masse at scale and then just hope that 20% stick. So, and I think it's the same with influencing the AI overviews.
yeah, so one thing I noticed is that the YouTube videos, they do stick. So if
Mm.
you create a YouTube video about your brand or a keyword that you want to target, then the YouTube video will stick and it will still be used as a citation in the AI overview. So that's interesting. But the Reddit article disappears, and there was another thing that also disappeared. Anyway, so yeah, so that's interesting. So do you think that it's still possible today? So you just told us about this method with the links in the Reddit comments that these guys they figured out. Do you think that still it's possible to use Reddit as affiliate source for affiliate marketing?
They're doing really well with it. So, yeah, I've spoken to quite a few people in the industry. The way Reddit works is what they've observed is basically every couple of months you'll get it's almost like a Google update. Reddit will kind of do a ban wave where whatever you've been up to, that's when suddenly all your comments disappear, your accounts get banned. One of those happened a few weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, and that was really severe. So a lot of my accounts got banned. I then went to go and replace those, and I'd heard about a guy who's got really high karma accounts that never get banned, and I was trying to buy from him, and he was just messaging me saying, "Sorry, that one's just been suspended." So I said, "Okay, what about this other one?" Also, and he had to really dig around for me to try and find some of his industry inventory that was still going. So it absolutely can work, and I think the biggest thing we're seeing is obviously if you get an aged account and you just use it for commercial purposes, it's an easy footprint because you click on the profile, you can see all the activity. Anyone can see if you're just promoting supplements all over the place. The really exciting thing that's happening now is people applying. I say exciting, it's also you've heard of this term. I probably shouldn't say it on camera, but the term for completely destroying the value of the internet through basically mass automation. There are people now building AI agents that will take over your aged Reddit account and run it for you, by posting cat memes and funny GIFs, so that when you go in, so they're running around the clock on the AI agent. You then go in and add in your commercial comment, and then your commercial aspect is just a tiny percentage of the overall activity of that account. So that's really exciting. That's being built into the anti-detect browsers that you need anyway. So you've basically got this browser running with its own history, its own cookies, with an AI agent doing the activity for you. And all you're doing is going in through the anti-detect browser and the proxy, just posting your comment and then disappearing again. So it's pretty much indistinguishable from a real user.
So that's that's what we could call them, the spam bros.
Yeah.
They're just taking over the Reddit again. Like 18 months ago it was also the spam bros. Then it went a
Yeah.
little bit down, but now it's going up again.
Exactly. It's like just like Google, it's like constant battle of
Yeah, yeah,
people find the loopholes, they abuse them, the platform catches up a bit, and it's just going to be a constant battle like
yeah.
that. But yeah, I'm fascinated by these guys I spoke to who've now got this strategy that has the 90% retention rate on the comments. The only downside is the comments are more like $40, $50 rather than obviously the platforms out there where you can buy Reddit comments for only a few dollars, and they're the ones that get taken down right away because they're on poor accounts.
I see, I see. Okay, so I just check my indexer, and it's X articles, because you can now upgrade. I just upgraded my account last month X to the highest tier, so where you can actually get these articles, and so that's a relatively new thing in X, that you can create long form articles like blog posts, like in WordPress,
Right. And
with
X already ranks really well generally, yeah.
with headers and subheaders, and also you can create anchor text links. And so what I noted is that in the X articles, these anchor text links, they don't have redirects.
Oh,
So
right.
they don't have this T/CO, this strange redirect that Twitter has. So that's extremely interesting. And that's what I noticed, that so LinkedIn Pulse couldn't index, Medium couldn't index, but Reddit and X articles index extremely fast and extremely well. And they're still indexed. They're just not cited anymore in the AI overview, but they are
Yeah.
still indexed. So that's the X articles. So I'm going to try to see what I can do that with the X articles, because 3, 4 years ago, I had a method with the Twitter moments. I don't know if you ever used that, the Twitter moments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've not
You,
played
you
around with
could,
it much.
you could get these do follow links, extremely powerful. So I'm going to try to see if I can do the same thing with the X articles. So anyway, let's move on to your one-page website, because your one-page websites is kind of like related to, it's not related to Parasite SEO, but the thing is with your one-page websites that I really like is that it's the idea of purchasing a lot of domain names that has these exact match
Yeah.
names, it's exact match domain names, and then you can rank them super easy, because what you have found out, and what I have also found out, is that exact match domain names rank extremely well, exactly like a GBP. Exact match GBP also rank extremely well in the maps for that keyword, and that's what you found out. And so that's what I want to talk about now. Your one-page website. Could you talk about how did you think of this idea? Creating this entire system with this. How did you come up with that idea?
Yes, it's a very organic process. It started with I actually read a book on domain investing, and this book basically said go through manually, try and find high transactional commercial intent, basically for contractors, and to try and find contractor in roofer Indianapolis, something like that, and go through, see if the .coms are available. And it's basically saying go for a minimum volume of 250 searches a month and a CPC value of say $3 a month. And that way you can find these high value domains. And the idea was basically you should then do outbound cold email and try and flip them for $200 to $300. So I saw great results on Twitter where people were saying, yeah, they were literally picking up these domains for $10, selling them for thousands. And this was probably a good 3 or 4 years ago now, maybe longer. And I thought, great, I want to do that. And I realized he's doing this all manually, whereas I can do an Ahrefs export, put in all the filters, and just find all of them that are available, which is exactly what I did. So I thought, great, I've now got 100 domain names for $10 each, and I'm now going to sell them for $300 each, or whatever. Except my skill is in SEO and getting traffic. So if I've got these valuable domain names, why would I sell them when I could turn them into more valuable websites? But we all know the feeling of you got that nice idea, big project, and of course you don't do anything about it. So every year I had this painful realization I've got this big domain renewal bill coming through every year, but they're still valuable domains, so I don't want to get rid of them. Then when ChatGPT came out, Obviously, the content game changed significantly. And as we know, whether you believe in the Google sandbox or whatever, we can all argue about it. If having content on a page on a new domain name significantly improves your chances down the line. Content age is definitely a factor. So I basically said to my team, we're going to go through every one of these domain names and just add a basic optimized homepage to each one of them. So go into Surface, scrape the key terms, put it through ChatGPT, dump that on the homepage, really basic theme, no design at all. And that way, in the next 6 to 12 months, where I'm still going to not actually get around to do anything with them, but that means I can then check back in, and instead of having 100 domain names that are literally doing nothing, I'll have some of them which could well actually be starting to rank for stuff. Bearing in mind, most businesses, they don't even build links. So the fact that we've got optimized content on an exact match domain, some of them are going to be ahead of their competitors quite significantly. And that's exactly what happened. So checking in over the time, some of them are gaining traction, and then you basically upgrade. So, okay, this one's now starting to get real traffic. Let's try and push it a bit further. But we don't want to spend, if we've got 10 of these that are working out, we don't want to do a $3,000 link building campaign on each one of them, because you go into the hole so much before you actually monetize. So, what's the absolute minimum we can do? So, let's go on to legit and just buy $40 worth of citations. Let's go and get a press release. If you go with AB Newswire, you can get a press release for $7 if you buy in bulk. So, literally, you can spend less than $50 to get something like 650 backlinks, all of which are not the best in the world, but there's still a decent volume of them. So of those 10, you'll then see how they're responding. Some of them, they'll take those links and they will then go up. So from your initial list of 100 domains, you've then got a few sort of outliers that are taking off, and you've then put some fuel behind the real winners. Okay, now you've got some real websites you can actually monetize.
Okay, so you're talking about, so you're actually talking about purchasing 100 domains. Did I
That's how
hear
it started. The
that?
actual methodology, I say don't do that. I'm saying, yeah, maybe go for 5 to 10.
Okay.
And what you find is there are one or two outliers every time. So unfortunately, it's a qualification process. You're trying to maximize your chance of finding some of the outliers. But the point is, registering 5 to 10 domain names and putting content on them, and then maybe spending a couple of dollars on links. That's not a big outlay to actually identify who those winners really are. And what you find is when you've got those winners, it's 80/20. It's not like some perform a bit and some don't. It's some really perform and some don't. So then that's when you know you can really invest in more of the heavier stuff on the winners.
Okay, so and with regards to link building, so what you're talking about is trying to make it easy for yourself. Of course, it costs a little bit of money. Trying to make it easy for yourself. So you're purchasing citations from random Fiverr gigs. You're purchasing cheap press release, and of course, in your course, you're talking about other methods of link building. You can touch on that if you want, but let's talk about we have the citations, we have the press release. What about social media profiles?
You absolutely can do. I don't mention it in the course, but again, you can just go, as you say, find a gig that's something like $50 to $100 to do social media profiles. So same thing. Bear in mind, outreach to an agency, an outreach backlink is $300 or $400. If you do it yourself, it's still going to be $100. So with that same $100, you can just get a load of really easy, cheap links, like social media links. So it's all good. It's all part of the cocktail. People argue to the end of the earth about what the perfect backlink is. But meanwhile, there's some people out there who are just getting every link they can get, and they're the ones making the money. So
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, I had Holly Starks on, and we talked about AI overviews and also the podcast links. I don't know if you tried that. Actually, I'm trying to get started with the podcast links.
yeah,
So if they work,
submit
I
it
have
to an
no idea.
aggregator, and then you just get a ton of links from all the different
Yeah,
hosting.
yeah, exactly. Have you tried that? The podcasting links?
Haven't tried it. I understand the principle. There's another one of those on the project list that
Yeah, yeah,
we haven't tried yet.
yeah, yeah.
No,
Me too.
same thing. If you've got a website that's starting to show signs of promise, if you do social media profiles, podcast links, citations, press release, most people argue and say none of those are good quality links. But yeah, you've got several thousand links there, so why not? You spent less than a couple of $100 on it.
So these one-page websites. So once you get them ranking, then you can just see you have these two or three websites that are ranking, and then you're talking about then you're building out a more comprehensive website with the supporting articles and all that stuff.
Exactly. So we just climb up the tier list. So we say one page websites, and that can absolutely work. You can rank a single page. But the reality is you'll probably find in your niche there's probably some different service pages that might be good for you, things like that. So it can end up being more like 10 to 20 pages potentially if they're all good opportunities to rank. Also on the other side, not only is I talk about the tier list in terms of the links, as the website improves, kind of like venture capital, you want to sort of unlock these almost like other funding rounds, if you like. So this one's now hitting page two. Okay, let's spend $400 on some links now. But the same thing applies to the design and the monetization, because finding lead buyers is a lot of work. So what some people do is they'll have one website and then they'll get lost trying to um, find a buyer for those leads. And there's a lot back and forth. You never really make meaningful progress in any of it. So again, if we've started off with 10 and we've got two outliers, okay, we now know there's a good chance we can actually place those leads. Or if we have a lead buyer, we can generate leads for them. So therefore, we can go after the right industry, the right people, knowing you've already got a website maybe on page three. So if we just push it a bit, we know we can get onto page one. You're not having five different conversations with lead buyers where you don't even know if the site's going to rank or not.
No, I think the conversation, the talk with lead buyers, it's just an annoying talk. I have some rank and rent websites here in Denmark that are making me money, but it's not something that I'm doing more in because I just find it difficult to actually find someone that trusts me to actually deliver leads, even if I tell them
It is.
I'm building this for free, you're getting the links for free. Of course, when you get the links, you will have to pay per lead, but you're getting the leads. I'm doing all the work, you're getting the leads, you only pay per lead. That's
Exactly. And it's much easier to do that if you've already got a website ranking, even if it's quite far down. Because you talk to a lot of business owners, and the first thing they say when they hear that you're in the SEO, they say, "Can you put me on Google?" I
yeah.
think, yeah, we can put you on Google, no problem at all. What you care about is where you actually rank on Google. So I've literally had conversations with contractors where I'll get my phone out and scroll down, and I'm probably around position 15 or 20 at this point, but they can see my website on the Google results for an industry I'm not even in, but they're in. That's how you can get a much better conversation just by showing them this website's already done. All we have to do is change the number to your number.
So actually, I was thinking about something with these local websites. Have you had any success coupling them with the GBP, Google Business Profile, or not? That's not something
No,
that
so we don't touch GBPs at all from our end because, as you know, verification is terrible. And even if you get verified, you can blow them up so easily as well if you don't have the actual business. So my number one recommendation for most people who take the course, don't forget the course is so popular because on YouTube, the sort of passive income, make money online, affiliate marketing, that's a really big niche. Whereas I'm always telling people, if I look back at my career, I spent ages in affiliate before I started an agency. Agency is a much easier life to make a lot more money. It might be active income rather than passive income, but I'd rather make 20 grand a month with an agency and do it for 3 to 4 years rather than grind away at affiliate sites and then have to deal with all the Google updates and so on and find I'm still having to do it in 5 years because I've got to move on to the next thing and the next thing and work out what's working then. So, yeah, despite being a big fan of affiliates in these channels, I still say ideally have a service or product to sell. So what I really recommend with one-page websites is a good start to finish course and just ranking a page in a competitive niche. But then if you can use that to actually get your foot in the door, yes, you're doing these deals on a revenue share basis, but if you can get some retainers out of it, even better. So what I generally say is, yes, try and get your foot in the door by the no risk, no fee, etc. Just take the leads on the revenue share basis. But if they've got a Google Business Profile, see if you can then, once you build that trust, try and negotiate some sort of deal around the Google Business Profile. So again, it could be revenue share, or you could just say, give us 500, $1,000 a month, and we'll rank the Google Business Profile for you. But that's a service offering rather than an in-house lead gen model. So, because so many businesses, they don't touch their Google Business Profile. Whereas all we need to do is connect to a service like Localo. First thing we do, we look at all their reviews, and Localo lets you reply with AI to all the reviews. And as we know, replying to reviews is a really big factor. So already number one, bang, 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 reply to all the reviews, make sure the profile's all fully filled out. Then if you want to be fancy, you can use something like SEO Neo, Agency Assassin, one of those to try and get those big green grids we've all seen. But the point is, most business owners are not even touching their Google business profile. So if you can win that trust, then get 1,000 a month on them just to basically maintain that GBP for them, you've then got a nice diversification there. You've got a service business and your in-house lead gen brands.
Yeah, so that's actually a good idea for those of you guys that are doing local rank and rent, trying to sell add-on services. That's a good idea. So I was wondering about these one-page websites. So with the latest AI updates, the AI overview and the AI mode, have you seen the organic traffic go down, or is this still the same, or what have you seen?
So generally, the whole point with this is when you're finding that domain name, finding that keyword, obviously you want to go for ultimate transactional intent, as in this is only a service. Someone searching this only wants a service. It's not something that can be satisfied by an AI overview. It's not informational in any way. And I see some people who get it slightly wrong and they'll come back with, the cost keywords. So they'll have roof replacement Indianapolis cost because the domain was available. I'm saying, no, 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 that's a completely different intent from Google's perspective. Someone searching for cost is not necessarily looking for a provider. And that can be answered with an AI overview. Whereas if my roof's blown off and I need it fixed tonight, then I need a contractor here that cannot be replaced with AI. And Google understands that. More broadly in the industry, we do know there's now this sort of decoupling where impressions are going up and clicks are going down because so much more is being satisfied by the actual SERP result rather than people having to click through. So that's the problem. So that's why I say go for the ultimate transactional intent. But a lot of my exact match domains do actually rank in ChatGPT because if you want that particular service, then this is the provider. And actually, I know we talk about local a lot, but my biggest successes have actually been with national keywords. Most of my background is insurance, so I've got a lot of insurance websites. So if you search for these types of insurance on ChatGPT, then you get my website recommended because it's the exact match domain.
What was the keyword I should search for?
And basically, I've been advised by my solicitor that I need this certain kind of insurance.
Okay.
ChatGPT will give you a load of filler about what
Ah,
that insurance actually is. Here are
ah,
some providers. And obviously, not every time, but a lot of the time, it's my EMD that ranks in that recommendation.
that's extremely interesting because I was also wondering about these exact match domains, if they could actually rank in the AI overview, if you've seen the examples of that.
They do, but it's quite random. But
Yeah.
crucially, I talked about the tier list with the link building. Yes, you start off with just a couple of $100 of link building, but down the line, if that's working for you and bringing you money, then you do need to reinvest because otherwise you're going to end up with a link gap where your competitors are building 10 links a month. If you're not building 10, and I mean proper outreach guest post links, if you're not doing that, then in 6 months' time, they're going to have 60 links and you're not going to have any. So you've now got to build 30 for 2 months just to catch up with them. So if
Mhm.
you've got a profitable site, keep doing the link building,
Mhm.
doing the outreach, placing guest posts. But what we've really found is, especially what I was saying, using Surfer for the guest posts so they actually rank on Google. Sometimes I'll search in ChatGPT and it can be my exact match domain that comes up. It can also be, especially in the informational part, it can be my guest posts that are linking to and promoting that exact match domain that are also in the AI result.
That's extremely interesting. It's kind of like a double whammy.
Yeah.
So you have both your guest post and your exact match domain being
Yeah.
cited in the AI overview.
And it really depends on the niche. I was looking into some data the other day in terms of people talk about ranking AI search, but the reality is there's a lot of different AIs out there that work in very different ways. So I think as the Google AI overviews basically mirrors the Google top 10. Perplexity basically mirrors the top 10. But then ChatGPT, the others, it's a lot more random. So if you can get your exact match domain and your guest posts into page one of Google, then you're definitely going to rank in some of the AIs, but not all of them. Whereas with ChatGPT, um, when you look at the numbers, it's incredible. The influence Reddit has over ChatGPT is massive. So in that case, you'd be better off doing a Reddit post.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I was also wondering about the on-page SEO because you mentioned a server SEO. And I think that you also in your course did you talk about Page Optimizer Pro? I don't remember, but you do use server SEO.
Yeah, I use a mix, so they're all good. I think the
This is
sort of gold standard people talk about is
yeah.
Text Bias's Cora.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
obviously it's big and difficult to use, whereas
yeah.
Surfer is just easy to use. And so that's why I recommend it. And then when we present content to our clients with the editor, they can understand it as well. Page Optimizer Pro is the nice middle ground, so it's a lot more technical and a lot more detailed than Surfer, but still quite user friendly. So they all work. Even if you don't want to spend that much, you can use Neuron Writer when it's on AppSumo.
Mm.
And the key thing is just getting those entities that are in the top 10 and making sure they're on there. You want your page to look like all the other pages on the top 10. It's as simple as that. Um, where are we going with this? So yeah, the on page. Yeah, most businesses still aren't using those kinds of tools. So we use the WordPress plugin to generate the nice visual layout for the website, but then we just go down the bottom and just dump the Surfer text at the bottom. Um, and it looks reasonably natural that way. It's not spammy or keyword stuffing, anything like that.
I think it's interesting that if is there a correlation between a high Surfer SEO score and its ranking potential? I think that's interesting.
To an extent. So the problem with these tools is people fixate on them, and you've got some metric. It's a bit like domain rating or domain authority. When you get businesses coming to you saying, "Can you increase my domain authority?" Or worse, a client has been with you for 3 months and they're saying, "Our domain authority hasn't gone up." And yeah, I feel like going back and say, "I can get your domain authority to 70 tomorrow if I wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend doing it that because what you actually want is more money, not a higher KPI metric." As soon as you've got a metric like that, of course, it's primed to be spoofed. So with Surfer in particular, even the creators of Surfer always said just get it up to 70 and then move on to the next one in the next article. Don't fixate on trying to get to 100 out of 100. And it's largely based on the individual search result as well. So if all your competitors are only at 50, 60 each and no one is up to 90, you're probably not going to get your page up to 90 either.
No, I totally agree. I actually back when Page Optimizer Pro came out, and it's Carl Roof that created that software platform. I was optimizing my articles, so I was trying to get to 95 or 100, and but it's a
Yeah.
back and forth. Then I changed something up, and then I reran it again, and then something else changed. So it's just super duper time consuming.
Yeah, and it's one of those things there. You don't have to be the fastest runner, to escape a bear, you just need to be quicker than the slowest runner. Um,
Yeah,
So if you look at your search result, you can go through competitors, audit all your competitors, and
yeah,
you'll find most of them have barely any words on the homepage, slow page load times,
yeah.
all these SEO fundamentals just aren't there. So you're coming here with a really fast, simple website with an exact match domain, with optimized text. None of these things needs to be perfect, but in aggregate, you're significantly ahead of most of your competitors.
So I was actually wondering about these one-page websites or these mini sites that you actually create. Do you think that they can actually be used as PBNs to power up, another website, or have you
Yeah,
played with
and
that idea? Or
no, absolutely. So I know people who do that. Sometimes some of my students, what they've done is they create satellite sites. So we talk about this from the perspective of sort of passive income affiliate lead gen. But if you're a real business and you've got a particular niche that you're really, really good in, but you're really proud of your brand, then you don't get that exact match domain advantage. But if that particular sub niche that you serve has got an exact match domain available, why not buy it, rank it, and then generate your own leads for yourself? But you can also give yourself that link. But yeah, same thing. You can use them basically as PBNs as well. And what we typically find is the spam brain algorithm, especially in the last year or so. Google's got quite random in terms of you can do everything right and still blow up your site. So again, that's one of the reasons for spreading out like this is that you'll find some of your sites sail through no problem at all, and some will just be blown up for no reason. And as I'm sure you're aware, if you get it's not really a penalty as such, but if the site does get destroyed, then any of that negativity doesn't pass with a redirect. So if you've done your citations, your press release, maybe you've even spent a couple of hundred on some guest post links, things like that, and you're mourning because the site's dropped and it's very unlikely you're going to be able to recover it. That spam brain algorithm is very much pass or fail. So if it finds something it doesn't like and kills you, you're very unlikely to get that back up again. But you've got all that link equity in there, and that still exists. So you just redirect it onto a new exact match domain. You inherit 80% of the link power you've built and none of the downside risk. So in my case, again, one of my insurance sites, I found a really good niche, and for that reason, I actually registered multiple exact match domains for that same product. Now, one of them was a nice brandable domain. It was the exact keyword, but it sounded like a brand. But I also registered the keyword uk.co.uk. And so it's like roofer near me uk.co.uk, something like that, which works, but it's kind of spammy and just doesn't look very good, doesn't look like a brand. The branded one got completely tanked. The uk.co.uk one, still fine. So really frustrating, no reason to it, but all we did was take the old one, redirect it to the new one. That one has now got double the link power and is ranking great.
Totally random. Totally random, and sometimes just you can't figure out what is it. We don't know. It's just
Exactly. That's my point about this whole minimum cost and time to rank. Because if you get destroyed, don't spend too long trying to figure out what's gone wrong. Just new domain, redirect. You can even move the content over. That's fine. And pick up where you left off.
yeah, yeah. So I was wondering about once you have a website, let's say that I have a website that I want to power up and I want some really powerful links. Do you have a go-to strategy for super strong links, or is it just guest post, niche edits, or what do you do?
Yeah, so actually in the course I recommend, I've only recently discovered them. Uh, I need to remember that they've rebranded a few times, but it's shared domains. That's it.
Oh yeah, you talked about yeah, I didn't hear about that before. Shared domains. What was that?
So it's basically PBNs, but as we all know, the problem with PBNs is the whole idea of private versus public. You can go on to someone on legit and buy PBNs for $6 a link, but they'll never send you the report. They'll never send you the actual domain. If you're lucky, you might get a screenshot of the anchor text of the link, and you've got no idea if you're actually getting your link or not. Meanwhile, how many other sites are they linking out to? Whereas, I've forgotten the name already. Shared domains,
Yeah, shared
they
domain.
basically have an inventory. The idea is you can group by domains. The point is you sort of bid together, and the more you bid, then you get basically a slot on the homepage. That's all quite complicated. So what they also do is they've got an aftermarket where it's basically like a whole inventory where they say on this domain we've got 4 spaces left, and each one is $100. So you can literally just go and grab a homepage placement on a really powerful expired domain, which they've built into a PBN. So yeah, rather than me messing about having to buy expired domains, rebuild them, host them properly, and all of that, you can just go through it. And they're actually quite cheap as well. So bearing in mind, most guest posts now, even if you go direct to the webmaster, you're probably still paying around $100 per link. Whereas I go through homepage or shared domains, and some of them were coming up about 60 or $80 initially. I then ran out of all of those, and now I'm paying more like 120, 150. But don't forget, this is like a DR30 expired domain that's been rebuilt, and there's only 4 other people it's linking out to. They're probably casinos, but whatever, we're here for power rather than anything else. But don't just rely on that because obviously it's a homepage link, which is great. Great for power, it's not great for relevance and context. So, for every one of those you build, you still want to be going out and doing a guest post where the link might not be as powerful, but it's within a contextually relevant article.
I see. Super interesting with the shared domains. I actually forgot that. So I'll have to look into that. So, oh, so it's my phone.
They've
My
actually got a new product as well, same guys called Insert Link, and that just cuts out all the headache of outreach because it's like a link marketplace, except you put in your keyword and they've basically indexed all the pages on all their sites. So if I put in my niche keyword, they'll go into their inventory and pull out all the pages that have mentioned that keyword. And then you can just go bang, 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 buy all those placements really easily without an outreach team. And again, they start at around $60 or so.
what was that called?
Insert.link.
Insert.link. Okay, that's interesting. I'll also have to look that one up.
Yeah,
So,
really clever Ukrainian guys, same as shared domains.
okay, so they're not related to these SAP guys.
No, so this is the thing. So say, I mean, the technology is great that you can go through, highlight the text you want, click a button, and immediately goes in. That's all what we want, and that's what insert link does. The
Yeah,
problem is, of course, the site inventory is a bit uncertain, shall we say?
yeah.
Whereas, yeah, insert.link, they're genuine outreach links where they've done the outreach for you. but they've also indexed all the pages, so you can just go through and bang in a link where you want.
That's extremely nice. That's a brilliant idea. Must be good business.
Yeah.
So while I remember it, Stuart, paste the link to your course in the chat.
Ah, yes, I've actually provided you with or your audience with a 40% discount code, which is
Oh,
Jesper.
yeah. Woohoo.
I've actually got the link with the coupon code already added.
Awesome.
Let me just put that into the chat.
Let's
That
see
looks
here.
correct. And I've also been in the process of turning the course into an ebook. It's a whole separate conversation, but I've basically been taking loads of my content and producing ebooks for all of them, using AI to basically run paid Facebook ad funnels. So it's the classic, the $7 ebook, um, that delivers most of the value, but people typically want, just more support, more videos, more coaching, whatever. So there is now a one-page website's ebook that's just $7. I'll drop that in as well. I just hope I've set up the fulfillment correctly on that.
Yeah, that's actually awesome with the ebooks. I think that Holly also mentioned last time I talked to her that she's creating these books and then she's selling them on Amazon.
Yes,
I think that she talked about Barnes and Nobles and other online booksellers, and then she's getting backlinks. So that's a very clever way of getting backlinks also, because I can see that you're selling yours on Thrivecart. So I don't, let me just click.
I've done both. So yeah, I've written Kindle books as well. And yeah, she gave me
Yeah,
the advice actually that as long as the link is, I think, on the first page,
yeah,
then it appears in the preview on all the booksellers. So you then get that backlink. So
yeah,
typically when I write an ebook, I will still submit it to Amazon KDP, but on Amazon Kindle, it'll be, $25 or something. Whereas if you buy through the Facebook funnel, then it's only $7. So we can legitimately say it should be $30, but now it's only $7.
yeah. That's awesome. That's a brilliant idea. So I think that it's 8 minutes to go. So if people have any questions, I think that you should.
I do not see the link.
And Kyle does not see the link. I think that you send it to host and panelists, Stuart.
Ah, there's your problem. Right.
So let's just see here. And if you have any questions, guys, then now's the time.
That's the course.
Yeah, that's the course.
Just getting the ebook now. I've actually been recording a course on how to make the books. So the one page website's ebook was the case study I was recording to show you how to set up the ebooks. So I'm pretty sure it's all done. Um, but if there are any issues with that, let me know.
I think it should be there now. Let me just check if it works. There we have the course and just check the other link.
That's 40% off with the discount code, and that's valid for the next 48 hours.
All right, awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, so I think yeah, so the links work. So I don't see any questions. I don't know why. Been super clear. So do you have anything special that you want to do you have anything on the top of your mind that you want to talk about with link building or money making online or
I think it does come down to that service element. This is why I keep telling people that. So when I'm on YouTube, for a YouTube video to perform, I have to talk about how to make 3 grand a month passively, easily, whatever. But I still bring it back to what I said earlier, that you're far better off actually, still working quite hard, but rather than working hard for someone else, then work hard for yourself, get clients, get an agency up to 10, 20, 30K per month. And then, yeah, you don't have to do that as long as a career that pays you 3 grand a month for 40 years or whatever. So active income over passive income. Thing with one page websites is it is this really good, it's a full SEO course, basically. But yeah, you can get these properties to rank. That makes it much easier to then actually talk to clients because you've proven exactly what you can do, what you're capable of. It's a lot better that than starting from scratch and saying, as we said earlier, that I will rank your website, I will achieve this. Instead, you're saying, I have a roofing website that's at number 3. And all I need to do is put your logo on there and redirect the form to your email address. And at that point, it becomes much easier then to say, well, it seems like you've got a problem with your Google Business profile. I can handle that for you for 500 to 1,000 a month. Or there's so many different services you can offer. Are they struggling to actually close? Most of these businesses still aren't picking up the phone. I damaged a tire the other week, and it was undrivable. And I literally went through top 5 results on Google, all of which they were doing paid ads, they were doing organic, and out of about 5 or 6 of them, only one of them actually picked up the phone. And of course, they got the deal. Whereas everyone's now, of course, building AI chatbots. That's the new sort of big business opportunity everyone's talking about. So while you're at it, if you're managing their Google business profile, if you're driving them traffic from your website, why not offer to build them some sort of chatbot solution to enable them to actually close deals faster and easier that's not just relying on them picking up the phone. That's the biggest bottleneck with all this. If you're just selling leads to someone, or even with agency services, you're still reliant on their ability to sell. So the easier you can actually basically be a fractional CMO, how can you handle their sales process better so that even with their existing traffic, they make much more money?
Hmm. All right. So actually, before you go, I have a couple of questions from the audience. And Raleigh got a cleaning. Thank you for your greetings. And Timonachi AI has a question. He's asking, I have your original course. Has it been updated since, or is it still all relevant?
Yep, so it's all still relevant, but we are adding to it. I think the main thing I've added, there were a few more things with link building, and there was more of the Google Business Profile ranking as well. So I included a tutorial on Agency Assassin. The great thing with business profiles is there are still a lot of, I wouldn't say hacks, but yeah, more of the sort of brute force approaches where yeah, the grid can literally go from reds and yellows to green really quite quickly. So as I'm encouraging more students to build some sort of service offering, we're trying to include more there as well, and we will be adding more to that bit as well.
Okay.
But fundamentally, the method still works. One other amendment I still need to make, I know I've got a minute or two left. We're using Extendify, the WordPress plugin, to create that visual layout. But increasingly, what I'm doing is actually using Claude to code sales pages for me. So I'll basically take my source codes from the website, go into Claude, and say, give me a really nice web design layout that I can just paste back into an Elementor HTML block. So that's now how I'm building the sites, because rather than messing around with the WordPress plugin, you can have a completely unique template that's branded, it's got animations, it does all these bells and whistles, but it's a 5 minute job with Claude.
And one last question is also from Timonachi AI. Do you use CloudStack, Stuart? And if yes, then how? And have you tried Yax?
I was going to say Yax, of course. No, I've played around with Cloud Stacks in the past.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously we know that they certainly help with indexing. There is impact there. But like I said about the social profiles and everything else, you want this cocktail of everything at once. You don't want to rely on a single strategy, but equally you can't say that any one of those things is either the best thing in the world or it's worthless. They all contribute to a degree. I think one of the favorite things I heard about, especially with Google Drive, is if you can actually drive traffic, drive CTR traffic through a link that's on Google Cloud, then at one point that was working really well. I knew a lot of gambling affiliates doing that, but last time I spoke to him, he said that's not working so well anymore. So all these things, as the updates come out with Google, some things go up, some things go down. If I look at my graph on Ahrefs on most of my one-page websites, it's quite clear they'll go right up for a bit and then stay for a few months, then right down again. And it's very clearly correlated with Google updates. And generally, I think it's to do with the exact match domain and how heavily Google is rewarding exact match domains at that exact point in time. So some things will work really well for a time and then not work. Other things that didn't work so well suddenly work better for a bit. So there's no easy answer. The point is do a little bit of everything and yeah, be sustainable about it.
Yeah, so this the sad thing, or perhaps the good thing about SEO currently is that there is no click button solution. But I think that's actually a good thing because it's more complicated now, but it makes it more challenging, but also it's better. So John saying he missed most of the session, and will there be a replay? And yes, it's recorded live in YouTube, so you can just catch it there, John. And Timinachi I is asking, Jesper, I saw your local driving directions booster and local GPP cloud stack service. How do you suggest using those for a medium level difficulty in medium city and way to determine how much needed? I just built it. So that's I don't have any more recommendations that just build it. I build them, so that's just what I do. And I suggest that
6 o'clock p.m.
I suggest that you build a cloud stack, GPP cloud stack, once every second week. So build one now, build one 2 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, until you get where you want. So that being said, I know that if you have a GBP profile and you want to boost that and get this green grid, so you have two factors. You have the, or three actually. So you have the website connected to the GBP. Then you need to optimize the GBP itself, get reviews. And as Stuart talked about, you'll need to reply to the reviews. And then there's the off-page part that's what I'm doing using Yax and the Google stacks from Yax. So that's the third part. So what I'm noticing is that if you have a GBP that has all red grid, so let's say 2020, so it's all red, and you apply cloud stacks, you probably won't see too much of a push from the beginning, because you have to keep in mind that you need to optimize the website, the GPP, and the off page. So it doesn't matter if you do a lot of off page, but you haven't done the on page, then you won't see the full effect from the links. So I hope that makes sense. So you need reviews and all the GPP optimization. I hope that answers the question.
On that note, Ian Evans of Agency Assassin, which also does driving directions, he's got data that, from all his clients basically, and he's basically training AI based on everything that's going on for that full user base. So from that, he anticipates that he'll be able to get real-time information of exactly how many driving directions you should be sending. So I'll contact him for an update on that, but that looks very exciting.
That's extremely interesting. I would like to hear more about that actually. So yeah, get in touch about that or keep in touch. So it's more than 1 hour now. So I'll want to thank you, Stuart, for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I'll stop the recording, guys. Just Andrew, the last question is the one-page website course. Are there any techniques to rank in neighborhoods, push the radius wider for more coverage?
Right. So it depends on. Let me just think about how to phrase this. So generally, I still go for national keywords rather than local keywords. But yes, the local keywords are easier. It's a goldmine. In terms of neighborhoods, it basically comes down to, is anyone actually searching for that? So are people really searching your local area, or are they just searching the broader area? That said, there is a level of geotargeting with Google where it knows your location. So even if you use a generic keyword like roofer, you can always see it matches you up with roofers in your area generally. So my recommendation there generally is what I do is go into Google Search Console, look at impressions, and you can basically work out every single real query. This is not about Ahrefs or SEMrush anymore. Go back 2 months and you can literally see every single query that's ever driven an impression to your website. And generally, from that, you'll get data. Are people searching your local area or not? And what I then tend to do is scrape that list, clean it up a bit with ChatGPT, deduplicate it, then go into a bulk AI tool like Cupper, something like that. Don't pay a lot of money for one. There's some good ones that let you bring your own API key, and then hit a button, and then it will blast. You basically produce a page for each one of those. So even if roofer near me address at the end of your road, that's this tiny neighborhood. If someone has searched that in the last 6 months, you will have a page for it. And then if that happens again, you will obviously be number one for that particular keyword. One other thing there, agency assassin is expensive. Yes, it is, but think about the value you're getting. So if to them a deal is worth $1,000, if you can improve their rankings, then you've given them an extra $50,000 per month. There's a rough way of looking at it. So it's tough to get started, definitely. But I think if you've got maybe 5 to 10 local SEO clients, then I would say your stack should look like Agency Assassin, SEO Neo, and a tool like Localo to actually manage GBP. That will cost you a few thousand a month to actually run, but then the scalability of that is incredible. You can serve a lot of clients with that with one VA. So you can be operating at easily a 70% margin then.
Thank you for that. I think we have no more questions, so we're just calling it stop now. Yeah, but thanks for coming on, Stuart. It was such a pleasure having
And
you.
you, my pleasure.
So yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. Take care. See you in the next one.